Hello there, everyone. So I'm going to give you a little lesson today about the things that we use for the Mass. You see behind me here on the altar, we have all the different things that are used for the Mass. So I thought it'd be nice to give a little lesson and maybe give you a little assignment even to do at home in reference to all the things that we use for the Mass. Okay? So let's do that. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, most Sacred Heart of Jesus, we place our trust in you. So let's begin by describing all the different things that are here. Okay? In the center, that is draped in red, you have the chalice veil that you see, obviously. And underneath the chalice veil is the chalice, and then all the different components that go with the chalice that we'll talk about in a few moments. Okay? More in detail as I sort of unveil what's underneath there. Okay? To the right of the chalice, you see a simple crystal bowl and a little crystal, what we call a cruet. It might look like a small pitcher to you, right? And then in front is called a finger towel. You see the white little towel that's on the altar. And then to the right of that is what's called the Roman Missal that we use for the Mass. It has all the prayers of the Mass. It's not a Bible. It's called the Roman Missal. It has all the prayers of the Mass. Okay? And we use the ribbons to keep track of what day we're on, etc., things like that. To the left of the chalice, you see there's two, again, containers, glass containers. One has wine, one has water. They, again, are called cruets. And then all the way to the left is what's called a ciborium. That holds the hosts that we use for Mass. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is, as part of your little assignment, I'm going to have you look up the proper spelling for all of these things, okay? So in the center, as I mentioned, is the chalice and the chalice veil. So I want you to look those words up. How do you spell chalice and chalice veil? Then to the right, you have the word finger bowl. I think you probably know how to spell those pretty easily. Finger towel. But then the word cruet, which you have on the right, and then on the left you have the two cruets for the wine and the water. So especially, how do you spell the word cruet? I want you to look that up and get the spelling for that. And then to the right of the chalice, again, is the Roman Missal. I want you to look those words up. Roman Missal. How do you spell those? And you can do an easy search on your laptops or your iPads with that one. And then all the way to the left, as I mentioned, is called a ciborium that holds the hosts. I want you to look that word up, the word ciborium. All right, how do you spell that one? So that's going to be part of your assignment this time with regard to what we use for the Mass. And all these things are used to, again, use for the Mass, which is a meal. So we have the drink, we have the food, which is the bread, and the different containers that hold these things, including, washing your hands before you enter into the meal, and that's why we have the finger towel, the finger bowl, and the finger cruet. So next we're going to look at, like I mentioned, we're going to look at the chalice itself and all that this contains in here, okay? So the top part is called a chalice veil, okay? Why is it red? Because this day that I'm taping this is the feast day of two martyrs of our church. Saints Cornelius, who was a pope, and Saint Cyprian, who was a bishop, who were both martyred for the faith. So the red is why we cover the chalice in the red. And it's called a chalice veil simply because it covers it, okay, as a veil. We take that off, and we reveal what's underneath, okay? So the first thing you notice on top is this cloth, this piece of cloth, okay? This is called a corporal. Now the word that I want you to look up is the word corporal, okay? This almost serves really as like a placemat that you would use at your dining room table, okay? Because as you notice, the corporal opens up as a pretty large square that we lay on the altar, and it's meant to literally catch any of the sacred host or any of the precious blood if we spill any or things like that, okay? It gets laid on the altar. Okay, nice and flat. And again, just like a placemat, it helps to catch everything. Call it corporal, all right? Then we have this thing. It has a bit of a cardboard or a piece of plastic in there, covered by a cloth. It's called a pall. A pall. Again, look that up. It's not the name Paul. It actually has another spelling. Okay, so make sure you look that up. And this is another thing that we use. And it's literally used as a cover. Because, for example, especially the chalice, when we use the chalice during the Mass, with the wine in the chalice, sometimes bugs that come from the flowers, or maybe there's a fly in the church, and it helps to keep that preserved, not anything else to get in there, so we simply put a cover on there that we call a pall. Okay? Good. Then we have looks like a small plate, right? Looks like a small dish. This has a cross on the back, and it has the host, the large host on it that we use for Mass, okay? And this is called a paten. Paten. I want you to find that spelling as well, please. Look that up and find out the spelling, the word paten, okay? And the word host. You probably know how to spell that already, but I want you to find the spelling for the word host. This is a large host, just so it's easier for people to see throughout the whole church that the priest uses, okay? The next piece of cloth is this rectangular shaped, it's called a purificator. A purificator, okay? It's literally used like you would have at home. It's used as a napkin. It's used as a napkin just to, clean your hands, if you need to clean your face at all. And then we use it at the end to also clean the chalice and the other things that we use for Mass, okay? So again, purificator. I want you to look up that word. How do you spell purificator, okay? And it's used to purify, okay? And then the very last thing is the chalice itself, okay? Looks like a cup, right? But I want you to find how do you spell the word chalice, okay? Mine is actually silver. Has a little bit of gold leaf in there, not a lot of gold, but a little bit of gold inside, right? And it has a cross on the bottom, okay? Let me show you more close up. Okay? So you see my chalice, and it has the cross there with a little stone above. I want to show you this one thing too. I think hopefully you can see it on the camera. But you see the engraving that is in there, right? There's a few engravings that are in there. I don't know if you can see it all that well with the way the light is trying to get you to do it. But I actually got this chalice from another priest who died, and his sister is a religious sister. So, and she actually was the same community as Sister Pat Hogan. She's in the Dominican Sisters. And her generosity allowed me to get this chalice, because her brother, when he died, he had said in his will, I want this to get passed on to another priest in the future. So I got the blessing of that. So his engraving is in the bottom, my engraving's in the bottom as well. And then when I put in my will, when I die, I'll pass on to another priest as well. Okay? That's called the chalice. So now you know all the things that we use for Mass, what they're called, that we put on the altar, and we help prepare for the Mass. So your little assignment is to get all those spellings of the things that I mentioned in this video.